Welcome to Speak Up International with Rita Burke and Elton Brown. Today we have Marcus Braxton, and he's going to read an excerpt from his book, Sun Roof Hitters. And with that, the virtual floor is yours, Mr. Braxton.
Hello, everyone. I am Marcus Scales Braxton, the author of this book, Sunroof Hitters, and I will be reading chapter 5 after giving a brief overview. The two main characters are Joe and Bob. The first couple of chapters are their backstories of their parents and how they came up through elementary. This is when Bob actually met Joe, chapter 5. When Bob met Joe, Joe's life was about to take a turn for the better thanks to a newfound skill that not only boosted his self-esteem but also his bank account. With the money he had saved from his summer job and the winnings from an exhilarating dice game, he was ready to transform his wardrobe and step into the new school year with flair. But he faced the dilemma. How was he going to get to the mall, snag those much needed clothes? At first, he considered catching the bus with his friend Steve, but something about that plan just didn't sit right with him. Therefore, he turned to his mother for help, but her vague response told him all he needed to know. It was likely a polite way of saying she couldn't assist him. After a moment of deliberation, an idea struck him. He grabbed his phone and dialed up his Uncle Jimmy, his father's brother, who happened to drive a blue Acura Legend. When Uncle Jimmy answered, his voice was warm and welcoming. "Hello, nephew. It's been a long time. What's on your mind?" Joe felt the overflow of excitement as he replied, "Hey, Unc, I could really use your help getting to the mall to shop for school clothes." There was a brief pause before Jimmy responded. "You got it, nephew. When are you thinking?" "This Saturday. Is it cool if my friend Steve tag along?" Joe asked hopefully. "Absolutely. I'll swing by to pick you both up at 10 a.m. sharp. So be ready." I'm going to close it right there. Don't know if I went too long, but that is chapter 5. This will give you a little insight on the book. It's based in DC. As a couple of kids, the main two characters, Bob and Joe, they form a crew as they go through junior high school and then high school, and then they get into troublesome life, which is similar to the DC life of urban kids. So it's an exciting, exhilarating, action-packed story.
The voice you have just heard reading his book is none other than Mr. Marcus Braxton. Now, Mr. Braxton, that book certainly sounds exhilarating, and I love being read to, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, the last person we had a conversation with sometime last week on Speak Up International, she was from Uganda. And so, because we're called Speak Up International, we speak with people, we have conversations with people from all over the world. Today, we are talking with Mr. Braxton, who is in DC. He is an author, as we said at the top of the show, who was wrongfully incarcerated and then justly exonerated. Today, Mr. Braxton is a teacher and lifelong chess student. I can tell you so much more about him, but his story is going to come out as we continue our discussion. Welcome to speak, Mr. Marcus Braxton.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you for taking the time to have a conversation with Rita and I. I think that your story is very inspirational, and I'm hoping that by the end of our conversation between the three of us, that our audience will feel the same. So, how did you discover your voice as a writer, while you were incarcerated, how did you see yourself as a man, as a creator, and as a survivor?
Well, the writer part, I was formerly a rapper. I was a local rapper, but I did put out about 9 mixtapes. I wrote some R&B. So I'm naturally a writer. Uh, so while in there, and rather than dwell on the circumstances, uh, I picked out a list of and wrote down a list of books I would like to write. And in my corner of my cell, it was 2 cells next to me. We were a group of readers, so the books would get passed around often, and I would hear the same story. Hey, I already read that. Hey, I already read that. Hey, I already read that. You got something else? You got something else? Until it got to the point where I said, you know what? I know what you haven't read. You haven't read what I'm about to write. So I wrote down, like I said, 10 titles, and I chose this one. This one was actually near the bottom of the list. And I chose this one because everybody liked urbans. And I wrote the first like 3 chapters, and I let one cell friend read it, and he was like, "Oh man, you just got something. You should just keep going." And after 5 chapters, I passed it to 3 people. So by the time I get to 10 chapters, they were telling me when I'm out on the tier playing chess, as I always play chess, they were like, we need you to go back in the cell and finish writing the chapters because we're trying to finish reading the book. So it got to the point where I duplicated the book, and I can show you the original chapters. These are the original chapters. This is chapter 7, chapter 9. And I had to make 2 copies to keep them circulating because I actually had 3 copies. I had 2 of these, and I had a composition book, which I kept. So I had to write double time just so I would make sure if someone who was reading the book, they got in trouble and went to the hole, I still have a copy. Uh, but that's how I started really writing in there.
So, based on what you're saying, it sounds to me as if writing comes naturally to you. Would you say that's the case?
Honestly, I'm a math whiz first. I've not been strong in English, but when I started my rap career, I had to learn English. So that's when I got a love for the words. And that takes math as well when you're matching the timing of the words. So that started my love for writing. But naturally, I'm a mathematician. I like math. I love chess.
I can imagine the shuffling that went on between those, your original manuscript, and then you got 2 other copies going, and you're trying to keep them updated. I'm sure that in itself must have been draining. What moment in that jail cell when you realized your story wasn't just an escape, but a mission? When did you realize that I've got something here? I'm going to finish this and I'm going to present it to the world.
Uh, it was it was 2 guys. One guy, his name is Marcus as well. I don't remember his last name. And he is a comedian, and he's a known comedian. So when he got it, he was so intense. He just kept telling me, "This is the best book I've ever read. You need to finish this. You need to finish this. Please tell me when you want to finish this." That was impactful. But the second one was when my friend named Glock, he's from my side of town. When he read it, And he just stayed in his cell one day, and it wasn't. I'm like, what's wrong with Glock? So I go and see him. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up? And I'm getting kind of broken up, just thinking about the moment. He's broken up. He's like, bruh. He said, man, I used to walk past that school every day. So that's when I knew it was powerful. And I said, I gotta finish this because it really is what they say, it take you out there. So even though you locked up, if you get a book so powerful that it takes you out there, that's the actual definition of being able to lock up the body and not the mind. So that was the moment when I knew it was that impactful.
Sounds profound. I like the statement about locking up the body and not the mind. And I suspect that our ancestors in who were enslaved, obviously that's what gave them the strength that even though their bodies were there, their minds were always thinking and planning and writing. Now, you've told us lots of little tidbits about things that happened while you were locked up. So I'm going to go to the chest now and ask you the question. Talk about being incarcerated. Whatever you want to tell us about that. Talk about it. Maybe why, how.
Okay, I will share. I was locked up for violent crime, charged prematurely. My name dragged through the mud, and I was facing a lot of time. I was facing life plus 58. So what that means, if I died and came back, I still have to do 58 years. With that being said, my mindset was different. I'm a different type of person. Obviously, I meditate. I read different type of literature, and I always knew that I was innocent, and I always knew that I would be home. It took 18 months. I lost everything. I lost my apartment that I had for over 5 years. I lost my cars. Um, Lost a lot of my customers in my cable business. But while in there, I had to figure out a way to keep my mind steady uh, with all the pushbacks, and every time they pushed it back, obviously waiting 18 months for a trial. But for a trial of that magnitude, I found out through a different people there that was not uncommon for that lengthy time. One of the biggest things was I did not have a paid lawyer, and I think I had $320. Now my cable company does do well, maybe profit maybe $1,000 a month, maybe give or take what's going on. Um, I was naturally a vegan and I don't eat sweets, so my cellmate convinced me, and I don't eat meat. I had to eat fish because I was in there. But my cellmate convinced me to run a store. So I asked him, I was like, well, I'm gonna need a knife and all of this, right? And he's like, can you fight? And that's my man Razor. And I was like, yeah, I can fight. From Southeast DC, yeah, I can fight. He's like, you don't need no knife. Don't worry about it. So I wound up running a store, and the profit was so significant. I was able to save my life because I was able to pay for a real lawyer, because the public defenders was not going to get that type of charge. They were not. It was not going to happen. But I was able to grind up by selling snack cakes and tuna fish and what everything was on commissary, doubling, sometimes tripling the money. And I had two accounts I had to go into to keep the store running. And because I didn't eat that type of stuff, sweets and stuff, I was able to profit enough every week to not only pay my lawyer, but to pay my cell phone bills, to do a lot of things that the normal individual would not be able to do. I seen a lot of things in there. I wound up leaving a regular block, and this was PGDOC. That's Prince George's County Department of Corrections. But I wound up getting to the kitchen after being in there almost a year, and that kind of changed and went for the better. But I got charged falsely for stealing some cookies, and they put me in the hole for 3 days. They let me out. They found me not guilty, but it was some stuff. And let me tell you, in there, I seen a bug that I have never seen in my 47 years. Like it's things in prison that you do not want to see, that and stuff that happens that you not even want to talk about. But those are some of the things. That's a nice overview, I would say, of what happened in prison for my stay.
Okay, so you were incarcerated for 18 months at least, and you were held without bail. They had no intentions of letting you go. How did that teach you, or what did you learn about humanity, uh, justice, and the power of personal purpose? And the other question is, you had this store. What were you selling?
Potato chips, every little Debbie snack cakes, cookies, tuna fish, oodles and noodles. Whatever you think, whatever they had on the commissary, whatever they. That's what I was selling on the commissary. Can you still hear me?
You can still hear you. 18 months have passed. You're selling potato chips. I guess this will be great, especially when the kitchen is closed and people still want to have something to munch on. They were able to come to you to get that, which I think is great. And how did you feel when the other inmates encouraged you to continue? How did it make you feel?
It made me know that I had something. And it made me feel I had another purpose on top of a lot of the other stuff I was doing, because, as I stated, I'm a chess teacher. Um, so when I was in there, before I went in, and everything has a purpose. Before I went in, I was teaching young kids chess. I believe that because I learned chess at 11, that if you learn it, you would be able to think and you will move better. So I had actually given up on older kids, teaching them chess. I thought they were too far gone. But being inside, I wound up teaching a few kids, and I wound up running the whole tournament and everything. First tournament in there. Of course, I won the tournament. It was close, but but me teaching those kids chess and seeing them saying, "Hey, Sensei Scales," that's my middle name, or my nickname. Sensei Scales, check me out. Look what I learned. Watch this. Look how I beat this person. So that's been the core of what I've been thinking, and how I revolve around. But when they took my focus and said, "Hey, I don't want you playing no handball. I don't want you even playing chess. You need to go finish this book." And I'm like, whoa, like, hey, y'all know this is what I do. I do the no, bro. You need to go. So it changed the whole mindset of the book. I'm like, I really got to put this book out. I have to finish this book. And I woke up, because my line of discipline is I wake up every day without an alarm clock, 4 or 5, when it's quiet. And so I will wake up and start writing then. And then I have to double back at lunchtime to after I write this, to do the second copy before I can even pass it out. Yeah. So just the overall process of what had to happen made me mentally aware of how impactful that it could possibly become.
You know, you talk about a purpose, and your bio says that you found purpose is in an unlikely place. But it sounds to me as if you have a mission, or that purpose developed into a movement or a mission. And so kudos to you. So elaborate on this statement, please. And I think you talked a little bit about it, about finding purpose in an unlikely place. Expand on that a little bit.
I would say finding purpose and more so redefining my purpose. Uh, when you're blessed, like a lot of people are, and I am one of the people who have been blessed to be able to have money drawn to me. I may work for it, but I have been blessed most of my life to be with more so than without. So on the outside, you kind of lose sight of your purpose when you are surrounded by so many things revolving around money. So about everything being taken from me, it re-enlightened me. It made me focus on what's really important. I say a lot of people don't really understand that it's only a few things you really need in life, and incarceration teaches you that you don't need money because you never touch a dollar while you were in there. You may need some type of people to send you things and things like that, but actual physical money, you don't need that. So when I got in there, as I kind of went over, I was still lingering on my, which I'm really geared up to work towards, which is called Think First Chess Entrepreneurship. It's a nonprofit organization. I'm starting teaching kids chess and teaching kids entrepreneurship, that we can be owners, because I'm a business owner, not just consumers. So that really refocused me, that setback and being stripped of all the material goods that I had in my life and being put there. And I still, like I said, you put me in the jungle, I'm gonna come out with a line coat, some bearskin slippers and so forth. But that made me really identify with what you need and what the real purpose of life is. I've had those blessings. I'm 47, so now it's time to give back. So it redefined my purpose, and I wrote this book, and this is just a segue to my next book, which is a chess book, which is going to go along with my nonprofit. And the chess book is going to be basically Think First and how it relates to life, and teaching you, if you make these same mistakes on the chessboard, you're going to keep losing. So if you make these same mistakes in life, you're going to keep losing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's redefining my purpose from the pain that I've went through from being falsely imprisoned.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about your book, Sunroof Hitters. I want to know, you live in DC, and this is, well, every state has, every city has their own culture. So how did you feel compelled to include maybe some of the street education that Washington, D.C. provides in the book Sunroof Hitters?
Well, majority of the reads that are in prison, the hot reads are two different type of reads: urban books and is documentaries. Urban books have always been probably the top pick, since the times of Iceberg Slim and books of that nature. So sticking with that theme, because that's what a lot of people that were incarcerated alongside me were requesting, I chose to write that type of book. Me also reading other books, and I got kind of a knowledge of what the urban book was. And that drove me not only to write the urban book, but to make it specific to the people who were around me. And I it's not as it is a fiction, but a lot of things are so relatable that it brings upon questions. Are everything fiction? Because some things are real. The streets, the places, the hoods, these things are real. And because those people were incarcerated with me, when they read, they're going to relate. So that's what drove me to do it that way.
Your story is certainly amazingly fascinating. I am drawn right in. But I want to shift away a little bit from the place that you had to call home away from home. And you know, we're right in. To your podcast. Talk to us about your podcast.
Okay, my podcast is called Blockboy Sport Talk. It's on YouTube. I have a Patreon page. I'm a lot of places. Blockboy Sport Talk. Now, I actually started the podcast before the incident, and it had just begun to get a little spark. I started on the couch. I'm a big boxing fan. I'm an extremely huge boxing fan. So I started sitting on the couch with a buddy, and we just were talking boxing, doing predictions. And I started filming it, and I was right a lot. so it got a little traction going, and we said, why don't we expand and just not do boxing, start doing sports as well? So we segued from Blockboy Box Talk. That's how it started, and we never let that go, but we added Blockboy Sport Talk. And we would come on weekly. We would review mostly, if it's football season, the games, and we would, me and one of the guy that I chose to be the co-host, we gel extremely well. We gel extremely well. So when I came home, a lot of people, they were waiting on the first show. The first show went pretty good, and then the show in September went bonkers, and it made me know that, oh, I got something. I really got something. So I write all my goals down every month, and one of the biggest things is I check them so I can check everything off. But the book was the top priority. So the book, get my YouTube channel monetized, then start the nonprofit. These are the top three things. So the book is done. I got the hardcover up, and then the paperback out. So it's focusing on the YouTube, and I start trying to figure out what I need to do to get monetized. And I'm not there yet, but I have enough subscribers, and everything's going up. I mean, the views are going crazy. I've had special guests on, notable ex-fighters. We just had Sean Bay Mitchell on. We had Andrew Council on. It's a nice show. We do a top 5, our biggest podcast every Monday. We just did our 50th episode. That did pretty well. We just did our 51st as well, and we will be doing a show to predict the fights for this weekend with Pitbull Cruz and Roach. And Roach is from right here in the DMV area.
How have individuals respond to the podcast? One, when you invite guests to come on your show and they find out that you've been incarcerated, does that create a stumbling block for people to want to be on your show? Do you find that people maybe they say, oh, well, no, that's, I'm going to pass on your podcast?
Most people don't even know. But if they did their research, they would know that I was innocent from the jump. I don't have any problems like that. I'm a lovable person. Everybody likes me. So that's never been a problem.
We're talking with Marcus Braxton. And at the top of the show, we asked him if he was related to a certain well-known Braxton. And he said no. But on Think of International, we seek to inform, inspire, and to educate as well. And so my next question to you is, had you not been incarcerated, do you think you would have written that book?
No, no, honestly not. Honestly, and no, I wouldn't have written a book. I wouldn't have been so focused. Sometimes it's not up to you to choose your path. Sometimes your path is chosen for you, but you still have to do things to stay on certain paths, and you have to be disciplined, and you have to believe. But sometimes you get knocked back to be shown what's important, what's really important. And as I stated, I'm 47. I've did a lot of things, and I've had a lot of good times. Whereas though I feel now it's time to give back. Not that my life is over. It's just a different phase where it's time to give back and help some of the less fortunate become more fortunate, at least in the mind state, because education is the true most powerful currency. So if I can educate and help out our youth, especially right here in the DMV area, to get them to be able to think first and make better choices, then I think then that I've served my purpose.
Mhm. So, what does redemption look like to you today now that your story has been released to the planet?
Um, I'm not really that type of person that looks deep into redemption. I feel good, of course. It's not a big "I told you so" moment. No, I feel good. A lot of people who do believe in me, they're still by my side. A lot of people who needed to fall off fell off. Uh, it is what it is. Maybe due to the circumstances. But as I said before, I've been blessed to the point though. A lot of people were leeches, so it's not necessarily redemption, but I don't have to worry about a lot of the fakeness and a lot of that type of stuff now that I came home, found not guilty. Now I wrote a book. It's some envy going on, but the redemption part of it is just me actually coming home and never stopping. And when I be able to give back and I actually have a chess school sitting on one of these local DC blocks, then that will be redemption.
So that is the long-term goal,
Yes.
to have a chess. Tell our audience what the words "not guilty" meant to you when you heard them. What the words "not guilty" felt like when you first heard them. And you can go wild with that.
Um, it felt extremely good. Like I would say when the bailiff came and got me before when I was going back in. First of all, they came back, and this is a high profile murder trial. They came back with the verdict in 45 minutes. And the bailiff said, he pulled me out. He was like, "You need time, you need a couple minutes to pray and all that." I was like, "No, I'm good. I've been meditating for the last 15 minutes. I'm ready to go." I gave me my tie back. I put my tie back in. And I knew that it was going to be not guilty. It felt awesome. Don't let me undersell that. But when I went out there, as soon as I walked in the courtroom, my friend Dred, he looked at me and smiled so big. And then I smiled so big back at him that his girl smiled. And from then on, this is just me walking back in the courtroom before they come and sit before they get out. And from then on, I'm smiling the whole, like the energy change. So it was exciting. It was exhilarating. And I thought it was a slight chance of some BS. Now, if they want to, let go, they can't convict me on none of the big charges. They might try to get me on one of the little side charges for a couple of years. But when they said not guilty on every count, I feel awesome. Not as good as my aunt. She went out in the parking lot and did what they do, the snow angels. Shout out to my aunt. So in the middle of the parking lot, out front of the court building. But I feel great.
That is wonderful. And just the way you expressed that feeling, I could feel it. I could feel the relief and knowing as you're walking into that courtroom that you're guilty. I mean, there's nothing, what else are they going to say? And for them to then actually say it, I'm sure it was just almost mind-blowing.
It was the foreman, the lady, like she was smiling. The foreman was smiling when she said it. She said, and I'm looking like I said, when the moment I came in to smile, it just became infectious. And she said, not guilty. Not guilty. And she just kept saying, and it was amazing. It was different. Like, I wish it was recorded.
Well, I'm sure that the judge doesn't isn't able to say that to everyone every day. And for him to or her to have this piece of good news to give to someone, I'm sure also made them feel good as well. You talked about chess and how much you like chess. You said that your second book is going to be about chess. So, how has chess influenced the way you navigate your business, relationships, and long-term strategy? You did talk a little bit about about what your goals are.
Well, as I stated as well before, chess taught me not to do the same things over again. So a lot of times you have to think outside the box. You have to try different things. I don't know a whole lot of people who do what I do. I have a streaming service that gets paid on residual income. I wake up to money, but it took me to think out of the box to say, I don't want to work for Domino's anymore. I worked for Domino's for 20 years, but I took from them learning how to read a profit and loss statement. And what's crazy about that is I rarely made profit for them. I did sales, but I rarely made profit for them. So I took from them the knowledge. So chess teaches me not only sometimes to make sure to think out of the box, don't do the same thing over and over again. It's not working. Try and to be experimental, try new things. You'll learn it faster.
So, as a former chess player, and back then I'm sure I could have beaten you, to a current chess player, to a person who ultimately will have his own school, where did you learn to play and why were you interested in chess in the first place?
My uncle Richard Graves, my mother's brother, he taught me when I was 11, and I beat him when I was 12. I've always been really good at math and figuring things out. So when he taught me, it was interesting. First of all, it was a lot to learn because you got to learn the pieces, the moves, the strategies. So being able to take all that in, and it's a big math problem, but it's the game within the game. It's thinking ahead, and so it's so much to it. That's how I fell in love with it. That's how when and where I learned the game and who I learned the game from. And it's been one of the biggest things that I say it a lot. It saved my life, because when most people didn't have that mindset, they didn't make better choices that I did to avoid some of the pitfalls that were going on in that time.
When you talked earlier about wanting to teach kids how to play chess and also to understand how um, entrepreneurism, how that all works. So, how do you see that fitting in with the way the youth are going? I guess to me, youth are going in the, especially our people, they're going in the wrong direction. They are moving towards the expensive sneakers, all the best clothes that they can muster up, not knowing that, okay, either one or two things, either you wear them out or you grow you outgrow them in terms of weight. How are you going to help these individuals understand that, okay, you know what, those $400 sneakers are great, but you could take that money and invest it in something, maybe or your own business, stocks and bonds. How are you going to get them to see the light and know that by looking like they have money doesn't mean that they have it?
But it's two ways. It's two ways. One, I'm gonna start young. I want to start with the youth as my original plan. Not that I will turn down the older kids. Um, it's a lot of fun enough for nonprofits, so I know that this task is not going to be a hard task to accomplish. So to keep their mind, you start young, and that's when you train their minds. Now, the other thing is we only have five senses, and the number one we use is our eyes. So they like what they see. If you're not modeling at least the potential of what they want, then a lot of them are not going to listen to you. So me being who I am, I'm able to relate both ways. I'm not wealthy, but I've never been not well off. So I can show, as I stated, I can show a profit and loss statement, and that brings upon education, that brings upon a new understanding, or overstanding rather. What they are built in, what they chase is what they see and what they overstand, and they what they believe is important. But when you can show them a different way, and you break down the knowledge and give them the real knowledge, and you can show the proof behind the knowledge. That's one thing I love about the P&L. It shows where all the money went, shows what came in, it shows what you're left with. So if you can show them, then it'll start educating them, and eventually it'll start changing some of their mindset. Now, we're not going to save them all, and I've learned that the hard way, that you can't save everyone. But there are some unicorns out here. It's not just a bunch of horses. There are some eagles out here. Believe me, it's not just a bunch of pigeons. So our job, or my job, is to find as many eagles as possible, so they can in turn lead the next generation, pass on what I know, and teach them the importance of informing and educating others and passing on what they know.
Well, you touched a little bit on my next question, and I don't think that's really fair. That's cheating. But my next question was going to ask for you to finish a statement, finish a sentence. And it goes like this: I plan to use my strengths and my voice to. I plan to use my strengths, my abilities, and my voice to finish that sentence.
To educate, lead, and teach. Teach, educate is kind of the same. To educate, lead, and inspire. You went out.
Who are you going to educate, lead, and inspire?
The youth, the mostly urban youth, but I do not turn down any color. I'm not on that. Never been on that. But the youth, the ages from 4 to the primary age is 4 to 11. That's my target market.
Mm-hmm.
My target is that's my target. That's who I plan on targeting, and essentially.
What message do you want Black authors, returning citizens, young entrepreneurs to hear when they encounter your work, your message?
If you get a go, first of all, get a go. Find out what you want to do. Once you get a go, write it down. Write it down. Write it down and review it every month until you get it. It's really that simple. Majority of the things, almost anything that comes out in this world, it comes from the mind first. Before it ever was a car, somebody had to think of it first. So write it down.
Okay. Well, I know some people that are very much into that. They're going to know what they're going to do every day because they write it down. And it's almost like going to Costco where you have a laundry, a list. And some people I know are like that. They're very organized. And I think that's a great thing. And it sounds like that happens to be one of your skills. So when you think about the future, your writing, your platform, even your community, what legacy are you building toward?
Uh, entrepreneurship legacy. I started my own streaming company. I also started a Digital World Smart Electronics, which is a uh, partner company as well. I would like to quote the great Soldier Boy. That's crazy. He said, somebody asked him, why do you have 25 businesses? He said, well, why don't you have 25 businesses? So my legacy is definitely entrepreneurship. Get as many businesses as possible. Why do we keep complaining? And when we see what they say is foreigners open up in all of these businesses, when if you do the research and you put in enough paperwork and enough time, you can open up businesses as well. So I'm going to leave behind an entrepreneurship legacy, a Think First Chess Entrepreneurship legacy. So that's the legacy I plan on leaving behind.
Your story, Marcus, is inspirational. We talked about your early life, incarceration, your identity, the making of your book, Sunroof Hitters, to be followed by your book that's going to help individuals learn how to play chess, which I think is wonderful. We talked a little bit about redemption, being creative, how you were able to generate purpose during your incarceration, and part of your legacy, what you want to see, what you want to leave behind, which was basically building uh, these our youth so that they too know how to make money, passive money, where they're not beating themselves across the head and the shoulders trying to make 20 cents. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And we really do appreciate your inspirational story today. Rita, do you have something you want to add?
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much to Marcus Braxton for joining us on Speak Up International. Your story, there's no question about it. There's a lot of learning in there. There's a lot of inspiration in there. And I like your drive. So thank you for being with us today. And I'm sure that our listeners will benefit tremendously from hearing your story. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you again so much for having me on Speak International. For everyone out there, the book is on Amazon, Sunroof Hitters Book 1 of the Sunroof Hitters series. So there definitely will be a book 2 out. It's a 5-star book on Amazon. The hardcover is available as well. Also, the ebook is available. The ebook is going on sale for as little as 99 cents on. So also check out the podcast Blockboy Sport Talk. We will have your predictions, your parlays. That's on YouTube. That is Blockboy Sport Talk on YouTube. Check us out each and every Monday as we go live.
Thank you very much. We wasn't expecting that advertisement, but that's okay. That's what we do at Speak Up International. We help everybody move ahead. When you come out with your chess book, let us know how did the release of the book go? How are people responding to it? We would like to know. So please do not hesitate in getting in touch with us so that we're able to have yet another conversation with you, Marcus.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Rita. I appreciate you all having me on.
Thank you for tuning in to Speak Up International. If you wish to contact our guest, Mr. Marcus Braxton, please be prepared to submit your name, your email address, and the reason why you wish to contact Mr. Braxton at youtube.com/at Blockboy Sports Talk. Mr. Braxton has other social media accounts you can use to contact him that will be listed in the description section on Spotify and other social media platforms. Your voice has the power to inspire, influence, ignite change. We'd love to hear your story. We invite you to send us your message that includes your name, company, or organization name, the valuable service you offer to your community, and your email address to info@speakuppodcast.ca. You can also find our new video podcast channel at bit.ly/Speak Up Podcast Video. You can find our audio podcast at www.speakuppodcast.ca. Our logo has the woman with her finger pointing up, mouth open, speaking up. As soon as the website passes inspection, you will be able to gain access to the audio and video versions of each podcast using the following link. www.speakuppodcast.ca. As a member of our Patreon group, you will gain access to a wide range of exciting benefits. We are working on providing you with early access to new episodes and the opportunity to suggest topics for future episodes. Your contribution of $2 or $5 monthly will not only help sustain the continuity of the podcast, but also allow us to enhance the overall listening experience for all of our dedicated followers. Help us help you. Don't miss our next episode. Join us again on Speak Up International, where we aim to inspire, to inform, educate, and entertain you.